Welcome. In this lesson, we're diving deep into the art and science of visual storytelling, a fundamental skill in today's visually driven world. We'll explore how to not just show, but to truly tell your stories with impact, guiding your audience through compelling visual narratives. And hand in hand with visual storytelling, we'll master the essential practice of storyboarding, the blueprint for bringing your visions to life. For centuries, humans have communicated through visuals. From cave paintings to hieroglyphs, stained glass windows to illuminated manuscripts, the power of an image to convey meaning, emotion, and information has been undeniable. In our modern age, this power has only amplified. Whether you're designing a website, crafting a marketing campaign, producing a film, developing an educational module, or even simply preparing a presentation, understanding how to construct a visual narrative is paramount to success. So, what exactly is visual storytelling? At its core, it's the art of communicating a narrative through a sequence of images, often accompanied by other elements like text, sound, or motion. It's about leveraging the inherent communicative power of visuals to evoke emotions, convey information, build connections, and ultimately drive action or understanding. It's not just about pretty pictures. It's about strategically arranging those pictures to create a cohesive and impactful experience for your audience. Visual thinking and drawing are becoming increasingly important across many settings, not just artistic ones. A picture truly can tell 1,000 words, and visualization is a crucial part of the journey for companies aiming to boost agility, break down silos, and increase engagement among employees and customers. Visualizing thought processes helps in breaking down complex problems, empowering teams, fostering collaboration, and boosting innovation. The ability to see and understand information visually is a powerful cognitive gift. Humans come into the world without words, and our brains are hardwired to process visual information efficiently. The backbone of effective visual storytelling lies in structuring narratives with visual sequences. This isn't a haphazard arrangement of images. It's a deliberate, thoughtful construction, much like building a house, brick by brick. Each visual element, each shot, each frame serves a purpose, contributing to the overall narrative arc. Consider the fundamental principles of traditional storytelling: a beginning, a middle, and an end, a setup, a rising action, a climax, a falling action, and a resolution. These same narrative structures apply directly to visual storytelling. In the exposition or beginning, you establish the world, introduce your characters or subjects, and set the initial tone. Visually, this might involve wide establishing shots, introducing key elements in the frame, or using specific color palettes to convey mood. For instance, a bright open shot might signal optimism, while a dark, confined space could suggest tension or mystery. The rising action and climax form the middle where the narrative develops, conflicts arise, problems are explored, or information is progressively revealed. Visually, this often involves a series of progressively tighter shots, dynamic compositions that suggest movement or change, and the strategic use of close-ups to emphasize details or emotions. Think of a detective story. You start with the overall scene, then zoom in on clues, follow the characters as they investigate and show their reactions. Each visual choice moves the story forward. The falling action and resolution provide the end, offering resolution, summarizing key takeaways, or leaving the audience with a lasting impression. Visually, this might involve a return to an establishing shot, a lingering close-up on a significant object, or a final, impactful image that encapsulates the core message. The closing visual should resonate and provide a sense of closure, or conversely, a thoughtful cliffhanger if that's your intention. Beyond this classic 3-act structure, we can delve into more nuanced visual sequencing techniques, pacing and rhythm. Just as in music, visuals have a rhythm. Rapid cuts create a sense of urgency or excitement, while slow dissolves or long takes can convey tranquility or introspection. The pacing of your visual sequence directly influences the audience's emotional response and their perception of time within the story. Visual hierarchy. This is crucial for guiding your audience's eye and ensuring they focus on the most important information first. Use elements like size, color, contrast, and placement to create a clear visual path. For instance, a larger, brightly colored object will naturally draw attention before a smaller, muted one. Repetition and variation. Repeating visual motifs, colors, or compositional styles can create cohesion and reinforce themes. However, too much repetition leads to monotony. Introduce variations to keep the audience engaged and to signal changes in mood or narrative progression. Symbolism and metaphor. Visuals can convey complex ideas through simple yet powerful symbols and metaphors. An image of a lone tree might symbolize resilience, while a crumbling wall could represent decay or conflict. These visual cues add depth and allow for more nuanced storytelling without relying heavily on dialogue or text. Show, don't tell. This age-old storytelling adage is even more critical in visual narratives. Instead of explaining an emotion, show it through a character's facial expression in a close-up. Instead of describing a chaotic scene, depict it through dynamic, disorienting camera angles and fast cuts. Rule of thirds and composition. These foundational photographic and cinematic principles apply universally. Dividing your frame into a 3x3 grid and placing key elements along the lines or at their intersections creates more balanced and engaging compositions than simply centering everything. Understanding leading lines, symmetry, and negative space can significantly enhance the visual appeal and narrative clarity of your sequences. Creating a compelling visual journey means taking your audience on an experience that resonates deeply, captures their attention, aids comprehension, and enables them to retain information. It's about crafting an immersive experience that simplifies complexity and makes your message stick. Here are key strategies for achieving this. Define your purpose and audience. Before you create any visuals, clearly define what you want to achieve, e.g., inform, persuade, entertain, and who your audience is. Understanding their preferences, interests, pain points, and existing knowledge allows you to tailor your visual story to meet their needs and resonate deeply. What context do they need from you? Empathy. First, put yourself in the shoes of your viewer. If you're presenting a new policy, use an image that reflects their daily life to make the connection real. This human-centered approach ensures your visuals are relevant and impactful. Emotional resonance. Visuals have an immediate and powerful ability to trigger emotions. Use color psychology, e.g., warm colors for excitement, cool for calm, expressive imagery, and symbolic design elements to evoke feelings. Brands that evoke strong emotions often see engagement rates double, demonstrating that feelings drive action. Visual metaphors and analogies. Bridge the gap between abstract concepts and concrete understanding. If discussing team unity, an image of different instruments coming together in a symphony can be more evocative than mere words. This helps to make complex ideas easy to grasp. Consistency in visual language. A consistent visual language reinforces your narrative and makes it more memorable. This includes maintaining a clear and recognizable style across all your visuals, from color palettes and typography to imagery and motion graphics. This consistency builds trust and reinforces brand identity. Simplicity and clarity. While creativity is crucial, avoid overwhelming your audience. Complex layouts can be off-putting. Go for simple designs that guide the eye naturally. Remove as much text as possible, using shapes, lines, color, and size to draw attention to key information and indicate relationships. A cluttered visual story dilutes its impact. Strategic use of visual elements. Incorporate elements that complement and reinforce your narrative. This can include high-quality images and photography, capturing real-world scenes, evoking emotions, and bringing subjects to life. Illustrations, providing a unique style, framing story sequences, or simplifying complex ideas. Infographics and data visualizations, combining images, data, and short text to explain topics or complex statistics in an engaging and digestible way. They appeal to both logical and emotional parts of the brain, animation and motion graphics, bringing visuals to life, conveying emotion and atmosphere, illustrating complex concepts, or guiding the user's attention. Animated transitions ensure a seamless flow. Video, one of the most compelling media, allowing for in-depth investigations, demonstrations, and immersive storytelling. Icons and symbols, adding personality, emphasizing points, and conveying emotions concisely. Maps, visually representing locations, routes, or data about an area, and summarizing key information in complex stories. Interactivity, allow your audience to become part of the story, enhancing their engagement and emotional investment. This can be achieved through branching narratives, interactive elements, or feedback mechanisms. Accessibility, ensure your visuals are inclusive, use clear fonts, contrast rich colors, and consider alternative text for images to ensure content is accessible to all, including those with disabilities. Test and iterate. Don't assume what works. Test it. Share your visual story with a small group, collect feedback, and make necessary changes to optimize engagement. Storyboarding is the visual blueprint for your story, a critical step that bridges the gap between ideas and execution. It's a sequence of drawings or images, often with notes, that visually maps out your narrative, scene by scene, before production begins. Think of it as a comic strip version of your project, allowing you to visualize the flow, pacing, camera angles, and key actions. Why is storyboarding essential? Visualization and planning. It allows you to see the big picture before diving into production. You can visualize how each scene will play out, from character expressions to camera movements. Refinement and adjustments. Storyboarding helps identify potential issues early on, allowing you to refine sequences, smooth transitions, and enhance overall quality before significant time and resources are invested. This saves time and money by catching mistakes on paper rather than during filming or animation. Communication and collaboration. Storyboards serve as a universal language for your team. They ensure everyone involved, directors, animators, writers, designers, is on the same page regarding the vision and execution. This fosters seamless collaboration, pacing, and flow. It helps you understand the rhythm and pacing of your narrative, ensuring that every scene flows smoothly into the next, resulting in a coherent and engaging experience. Why is storyboarding essential? Visualization and planning. It allows you to see the big picture before diving into production. You can visualize how each scene will play out, from character expressions to camera movements. Refinement and adjustments. Storyboarding helps identify potential issues early on, allowing you to refine sequences, smooth transitions, and enhance overall quality before significant time and resources are invested. This saves time and money by catching mistakes on paper rather than during filming or animation. Communication and collaboration. Storyboards serve as a universal language for your team. They ensure everyone involved, directors, animators, writers, designers, is on the same page regarding the vision and execution. This fosters seamless collaboration, pacing, and flow. It helps you understand the rhythm and pacing of your narrative, ensuring that every scene flows smoothly into the next, resulting in a coherent and engaging experience. Pitching and presentation. A well-crafted storyboard is an excellent tool for pitching your ideas to stakeholders, clients, or investors. It visually conveys your vision more effectively than words alone. Here are some key concepts in storyboarding. Frames and panels. Each frame in a storyboard represents a single shot or a moment in time within your narrative. These panels are typically arranged sequentially. Scene description. Below or beside each frame, include a brief description of what is happening in the scene, key actions, character emotions, or important visual details. Dialogue and narration. If applicable, include the dialogue or narration that will accompany the visual in that particular frame. Camera angles and movement indicate specific camera angles, e.g., close-up, wide shot, low angle, high angle, and camera movements, e.g., panning, tilting, tracking, dolly shots. These choices significantly impact the audience's perception and emotional response. Lighting and mood, notes on desired lighting conditions, e.g., high contrast, soft light, and the overall mood of the scene can be included. Sound and music. Jot down ideas for sound effects or background music to enhance the emotional impact and atmosphere. Transitions. Specify how one scene transitions to the next, e.g., cut, dissolve, fade. Cinematic transitions are crucial for maintaining viewer engagement and ensuring seamless flow. This is the storyboarding process. Script breakdown. Start with your script or narrative outline. Break it down into individual scenes and key moments that need to be visualized. Thumbnail sketches. Begin with small, rough thumbnail sketches. Don't worry about artistic perfection. Focus on quickly capturing the essence of each shot, its composition, and the action. Refine and detail. As you become clearer on the visual flow, refine your sketches. Add more detail, specific camera angles, and character positions. Add annotations. Include all necessary notes for dialogue, sound, transitions, and any specific instructions for the production team. Review and iterate. Share your storyboard with your team or trusted colleagues for feedback. Be open to revisions and refine your storyboard until it effectively communicates your vision. While traditional pen and paper storyboarding is still highly effective, numerous digital tools can streamline the process, especially for collaboration and professional production. Here are some of them. Canva offers templates for creating polished storyboard slides, suitable for short videos, social media, and web pages. It's great for non-designers due to its drag and drop functionality and vast template library. Google Docs and Slides. Simple but effective for quick visual planning by inserting sketches or stock images. Pictochart can be used for creating compelling visual narratives, especially for presentations and infographics. Storyboarder by Wonder Unit, an open source and free tool that allows for quick and dirty storyboards, focusing on sketching out video ideas with ease. Make Storyboard, an online tool for assembling sketches, organizing pictures and drawings, and creating storyboards quickly with an intuitive interface. Boards, a comprehensive solution for animatics with built-in script syncing, offering collaborative features. Storyboard, an intuitive, easy-to-use tool with hundreds of backgrounds and characters, ideal for those who prefer not to draw or have limited drawing skills. CeltX, a pre-production powerhouse offering script writing, storyboarding, and shot listing with strong collaborative features. Studio Binder provides a robust storyboarding tool as part of a comprehensive suite for video production management, including scheduling and script breakdowns. Plot, used to create sequences of drawings for video productions suitable for directors, animators, and producers. Visme enables users to create storyboards for videos, corporate presentations, and documents. Toon Boom Storyboard Pro, a higher-end option with a massive suite of features, often used by animation studios for complex projects. FrameForge 3D Studio allows for detailed 3D scenes to explore angles, lighting, and camera movement beyond 2D storyboarding. Clip Studio Paint, excellent for detailed illustrations and comic creation, making it suitable for intricate storyboards. Adobe Photoshop, a powerful and widely used software for storyboarding, especially for graphic design and detailed visual mockups. PanelForge, specifically designed to streamline storyboard creation with an array of integrated features. When choosing a tool, consider your project type, budget, collaboration needs, and your team's drawing skills. Many tools offer free plans or demos, allowing you to experiment before committing. Visual storytelling and storyboarding are indispensable skills in today's communication landscape. By understanding how to structure narratives visually, create compelling journeys, and effectively storyboard your ideas, you gain the power to simplify complexity, evoke emotions, and truly connect with your audience. Embrace these techniques, practice regularly, and watch your communication transform from merely informative to truly impactful. Welcome to this lesson on process mapping and systems thinking, where we will unlock the power of visual tools to understand, analyze, and optimize the intricate workings of any organization. In today's dynamic business environment, the ability to clearly see and comprehend complex processes and interconnected systems is no longer a luxury but a necessity. As author Wilhelmine Brand emphasizes in visual thinking, empowering people and organizations through visual collaboration, a picture really can tell 1,000 words, and visualization is a crucial part of the journey for companies seeking to boost enterprise agility, break down silos, and increase employee and customer engagement. Visualizing thought processes can help break down complex problems and foster collaboration, jumpstart co-creation, and boost innovation. This module will equip you with the knowledge and practical skills to harness this power, transforming abstract ideas into actionable visual roadmaps. Before we dive into the specifics of process mapping and systems thinking, let's briefly reinforce the foundational concept, visual thinking. As Todd Church's highlights in Visual Leadership, leaders who leverage visual thinking can simplify complexity and crystallize their strategy and insights in ways that get people to see what you're saying. This isn't about artistic talent, but about the innate human capacity to process visual information far more efficiently than text or numbers. Our brains are wired to quickly discern patterns, relationships, and anomalies when presented visually. This inherent capability makes visual tools indispensable for comprehending complex systems and workflows. Visualizations provide overviews and granularity simultaneously, allowing us to grasp the big picture while also zooming into specific details. They explain important messages succinctly and are inherently more inclusive, enabling a broader audience to engage with and understand complex information. Furthermore, visualizations highlight data distribution and show trends that might be hidden in raw data, fostering deeper insights and continuous improvement. Process mapping is a fundamental discipline within organizational management, serving as the bedrock for understanding how work truly gets done. Simply put, it's the art and science of creating a visual representation of a workflow, outlining each step, decision point, input, and output from start to finish. These visual diagrams are typically a component of an organization's business process management (BPM) strategy, aiming to promote a better understanding of processes and identify areas for improvement. So, what is a process? At its core, a process is a series of interconnected tasks or activities designed to achieve a specific outcome. Think about something as simple as making a cup of coffee or as complex as launching a new product. Each involves a sequence of steps, resources, and decisions. Without a clear understanding of these sequences, efficiency is hampered, errors proliferate, and collaboration suffers. Why map processes? The act of mapping processes brings a multitude of benefits to an organization. Process maps provide a transparent and unambiguous view of how work flows. They cut through ambiguity, ensuring everyone involved understands their role, responsibilities, and how their work contributes to the larger objective. This clarity helps teams see how individual roles feed into the bigger workflow. By visually charting each step, it becomes significantly easier to spot redundant activities, unnecessary delays, rework loops, and crucially, bottlenecks. These are the pain points where work piles up, causing congestion and slowing down the entire process. A shared visual language fosters better communication among team members and stakeholders. Instead of relying on lengthy textual descriptions, a process map offers a common reference point, enabling more productive discussions and problem solving. This enhances understanding and collaboration among team members and stakeholders. Process maps help standardize procedures, ensuring consistency in task execution across different teams or individuals. This reduces variation and errors, leading to more predictable and high-quality results. For new employees, process maps provide a clear and accessible reference for understanding how processes function, accelerating their integration into the team. Visualizing workflows allows organizations to identify areas where resources are underutilized or overstretched, enabling better allocation and capacity planning. Once a process is clearly mapped, it becomes much easier to identify opportunities for automation of routine tasks, elimination of unnecessary steps, and overall streamlining. It serves as a valuable tool for supporting continuous improvement initiatives, especially in methodologies like Lean and Six Sigma. There are various methodologies and techniques for creating process maps, each suited to different contexts and levels of detail. The approach you choose depends heavily on the size of your organization, team culture, and resources available. Before you can draw a map, you need to understand the territory. Here are common methods for gathering the necessary information. This is effective for relatively straightforward processes, where a small sample of those performing the process can provide the necessary information. A business analyst or facilitator can conduct structured interviews, focusing on defining the scope, start and end points, major steps, activities, and deliverables using a noun-verb method to keep questioning structured. For more complex processes involving multiple stakeholders, workshops are invaluable. A skilled facilitator ensures active participation, keeps discussions on track, and encourages the group to define the process collaboratively. Tools like digital whiteboards, e.g., Miro, LucidSpark, can be used to transcribe the process in near real time, fostering engagement as participants see the map develop. In established environments, existing documents, slides, spreadsheets, or even formal models like UML or BPMN diagrams can provide a starting point. This method is useful for modernizing existing systems or reducing documentation burden rather than creating content from scratch. Observing the process in action can reveal nuances and informal steps that might not be captured in interviews or documentation. Business analysis design, greenfield approach. This methodology is particularly useful when a process doesn't yet exist, typically seen in re-engineering projects or organizational project startups, where the process is designed from the ground up. Most workflow visualizations look like flowcharts and share key features. Activities, tasks, and steps. Represented by labeled rectangles, these are the building blocks of a process, linked by arrows to indicate flow. Decision points. Typically diamonds, these are points where a choice needs to be made, leading to different paths in the workflow. Connectors. Arrows or lines showing the direction of flow and the connection between steps. Circles can indicate continuation onto another page or platform. Start or end points. Usually ovals or rounded rectangles, indicating where a process begins and concludes. Visual cues. Colors, icons, and symbols can be used to differentiate task types, highlight important information, or clarify status. Flowcharts are perhaps the most ubiquitous and recognizable form of process mapping. They are powerful visual tools that use standardized symbols to represent the sequence of operations, decisions, and data flow within a process. Adhering to standard symbols ensures clarity, consistency, and ease of understanding for a broad audience. Oval or rounded rectangle terminator represents the start or end of a process. Rectangle process. denotes a specific operation, activity, or task within the process. Diamond, decision, indicates a point where a decision must be made with different paths emanating from it, e.g., yes, no, true, false. Arrow, connector, or flow line shows the direction of flow and the connection between steps. Parallelogram, input or output, represents data or materials entering or leaving the process. Cylinder, that database, indicates where data is stored. Rectangle with wavy bottom, document, represents a document. To create effective and easy to understand flowcharts, consider these best practices. Define the purpose, clearly understand what process or system the flowchart is intended to represent or improve. Keep it simple. Strive for simplicity, using short, clear labels for each step. Avoid overwhelming the reader with excessive detail. Logical flow. Ensure a clear starting point and a logical sequence of steps. Use arrows to guide the reader smoothly. Minimize crossovers. Design the flowchart to minimize intersecting lines, which can make it harder to follow. Consider using connectors or multi-tiered charts if necessary. Use swim lanes for complex processes. For processes involving multiple departments or roles, use swim lanes or cross-functional flowcharts. These parallel lanes clearly delineate responsibilities, making it easy to see handoffs and potential delays between teams. Include decision points. Clearly mark decision points and ensure all possible outcomes are represented. Iterate and simplify. Draft, review, and refine the flowchart to combine, simplify, or remove unnecessary steps. Validate, consult with stakeholders or individuals familiar with the process to validate the accuracy and identify any missing steps or inefficiencies. Strategic use of color. Employ colors to categorize different types of actions or decisions, but use them sparingly to avoid distraction. Readability. Ensure legible text with appropriate font size and style. Avoid jargon and use terminology familiar to the intended audience. Consistent conventions. Maintain consistency in symbols, shapes, colors, and labels throughout the visualization. One of the primary drivers for process mapping is to identify inefficiencies and bottlenecks. A bottleneck is essentially a constraint that limits the overall throughput or speed of a process, causing work to pile up and delays to occur. Identifying these choke points is crucial for process improvement. How to identify bottlenecks? Map the process. As discussed, a clear visual map of the entire process is the foundational step. This blueprint allows you to visually identify areas where work may pile up or become congested. Gather data and metrics. Quantitative data is vital. Collect metrics such as cycle time, the time taken to complete a task or activity. Longer cycle times than expected indicate a potential bottleneck. Throughput. The rate at which work is completed. A consistently lower than desired throughput in a specific stage suggests a bottleneck. Work in progress, WIP, or queue buildups. Observe where work queues are building up. This is a direct indicator of a constraint. Resource utilization. The extent to which resources, people, equipment, technology are being used. Overloaded resources can signal a bottleneck. Analyze process flow. Examine how work moves from one stage to another. Look for stages where work queues build up or where there are delays in handoffs between different stages. These are often indicative of bottlenecks. Identify resource constraints. Assess the availability and capacity of resources at each stage. If certain stages consistently experience resource shortages or are overloaded, it suggests a bottleneck. Engage with employees. Employees on the ground often have the most insight into where processes break down. Conduct focused interviews or surveys to gather feedback on challenges and potential bottlenecks. Ask where they get frustrated or stuck. Look for rework loops. Are items frequently sent back for correction or rework? This indicates quality issues and inefficiency that can stem from bottlenecks upstream. Trace handoff delays. Do tasks wait too long for sign-off or approval from another department or individual? Once bottlenecks and inefficiencies are identified, the next step is to implement improvements. Visual maps are not just for diagnosis. They are powerful tools for designing and implementing better processes. Eliminate unnecessary steps. If a step doesn't add value, remove it. Question every activity. What value does this step create for the customer or the next step in the process? Automate routine tasks. Leverage digital tools to automate approvals, notifications, data entry, and other repetitive tasks, freeing up human resources for higher value work. Standardize forms and templates. Reduce variation and errors by using consistent forms and templates. Introduce parallel processing. Can two tasks occur at the same time instead of sequentially? Look for opportunities to perform activities in parallel to reduce overall cycle time. Clarify roles and responsibilities. Ensure everyone involved in the process clearly understands their part, reducing confusion and delays at handoff points. Reallocate resources. If a bottleneck is due to resource constraints, reallocate personnel or equipment to balance the workload. Implement visual management techniques. Tools like Kanban boards, visualizing work in stages, and performance dashboards, tracking key metrics in real time, help teams monitor progress, identify issues, and communicate status effectively. Continuous improvement cycles. Process improvement is an ongoing journey. Regularly review and update your process maps, especially after major system updates, technology changes, shifts in team responsibilities, or spikes in customer complaints. Establish mechanisms for continuous monitoring and feedback. While process maps focus on the internal workings and steps of an organization, journey maps shift the perspective outward, focusing on the end-to-end experience of a customer, employee, or other persona. They visualize major steps, pain points, and emotions across an entire life cycle, taking an outside-in perspective that centers on user needs. So, what is a journey map? A journey map is a visual depiction of the customer's or employee's experience from their initial awareness of your business or service through their interactions to their post-experience reflections. It's a storytelling tool that helps organizations empathize with their users and identify opportunities to improve their experience. As outlined in the Customer Journey Mapping Guide, it's not a detailed process map of how your business works, but a process that aims to understand the customer experience from their perspective. A typical journey map includes several key components. Persona, the specific customer or user whose journey is being mapped. This often involves developing detailed personas with demographics, goals, needs, and pain points. Stages or phases, the key phases of the journey, e.g., awareness, consideration, purchase, experience, post-experience. Actions, what the customer is doing at each stage. Touch points, the specific interactions or channels where the customer engages with the organization, e.g., website, social media, sales representative, physical store, customer service. Thoughts or feelings, emotional journey. What the customer is thinking and feeling at each stage, including their emotions, motivations, and pain points. This is a crucial differentiator from a process map. Pain points, specific areas where customers experience difficulty, frustration, or negative emotions. Bright spots, moments of positive experience that delight the customer. Opportunities for improvement. Insights derived from the pain points and bright spots indicating where the organization can make impactful changes. Why should you create journey maps? Customer centricity. Journey maps force organizations to view their operations through the eyes of the customer, fostering a truly customer-centric environment. Improved customer experience, CX. By identifying pain points and understanding the emotional journey, businesses can prioritize actionable changes that lead to a smoother, more satisfying experience. Increased customer retention and loyalty, a consistent and positive customer experience enabled by journey mapping increases the likelihood of repeat business and fosters long-term loyalty. Enhanced business growth. Understanding different customer personas and their unique journeys helps in tailoring marketing strategies, improving targeting, and ultimately driving business growth. Breaking down silos. Journey maps provide a centralized resource for different departments, marketing, sales, operations, customer service, to understand each step of the customer journey, fostering cross-functional alignment and reducing fragmented customer interactions. Identifying gaps and opportunities. They help pinpoint gaps in service delivery, missed opportunities for engagement, and areas where customer expectations are not being met. While both process maps and journey maps are visual tools that chart sequences, their focus and perspective differ significantly. Process map focuses on the internal workflows within an organization. It details the sequence of tasks, decision-making logic, and internal handoffs required to complete an operation or deliver a product or service. It's an inside-out view. Journey map focuses on the external end-to-end experience of a customer or user. It highlights their interactions, emotional states, and perceptions across their entire life cycle with a product or service. It's an outside-in view. Essentially, a process map shows how your business works, while a journey map shows how your customer experiences your business. They are complementary tools. An identified pain point in a customer journey map might lead to an investigation of the underlying internal process map to find the root cause of the issue and identify where improvements can be made. For example, if a customer journey map reveals frustration during the onboarding phase, a deeper dive into the employee onboarding process map might reveal inefficient steps or bottlenecks that are impacting the customer's initial experience. The good news is that there are numerous tools available to help you create effective process and journey maps, ranging from simple analog methods to sophisticated software. Whiteboards and sticky notes. Excellent for collaborative brainstorming and initial drafting. The flexibility of sticky notes allows for easy rearrangement of steps. Paper and pen. Always accessible and great for quick sketches and personal understanding. Many software tools offer templates, standardized symbols, and collaboration features to streamline the mapping process. Here are some general diagramming tools. Lucidchart, known for its versatility and integrations, offering drag and drop functionality for various diagrams, including flowcharts and process maps. Miro, a popular collaborative online whiteboard tool with an infinite canvas, suitable for brainstorming and detailed mapping. It also offers AI-driven diagramming support. Microsoft Visio, a benchmark for professional-grade diagramming, designed for complex processes and detailed mapping needs, especially for Microsoft users. SmartDraw excels in producing standard-compliant business process models and flowcharts. Creately, good for getting started with templates. Draw.io, Diagrams.net, a free, versatile online diagramming tool. When choosing a tool, consider ease of use, collaboration features, integration capabilities with your existing systems, and whether it caters to the specific type and complexity of mapping you intend to do. Process mapping and systems thinking, empowered by visual tools, are indispensable for navigating the complexities of modern organizations. By visually representing workflows and customer journeys, we gain unparalleled clarity, identify critical bottlenecks, and unlock profound opportunities for improvement. This journey of visualization not only streamlines operations and enhances efficiency, but also fosters a culture of collaboration, innovation, and continuous learning. Embrace these visual techniques, and you will empower your team to see problems more clearly, collaborate more effectively, and ultimately drive your organization towards greater agility and success. The ability to see your processes and systems is the first step towards truly transforming them. Welcome back. In this lesson, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of concept mapping and idea generation. We'll explore how to transform abstract thoughts into concrete visual structures, enabling clearer communication, better problem solving, and enhanced creativity. We'll cover connecting complex ideas, various brainstorming techniques, and a powerful method for organizing information called affinity diagramming. Visualizing complex ideas isn't just a creative exercise, it's a fundamental cognitive tool. Our brains are hardwired to process visual information efficiently, and by externalizing our thoughts, we can identify patterns, relationships, and gaps that might be invisible in a purely verbal or textual format. The goal is to create a visual map of your knowledge, where each idea is a location, and the connections between them are the pathways. This process helps us move from a linear, sequential way of thinking to a more holistic, interconnected one. One of the most effective methods for this is concept mapping. Unlike a simple mind map, which typically starts from a single central idea and radiates outward, a concept map is more like a network. It's a diagram that illustrates the connections between different concepts, often using linking words or phrases to describe the relationship. This structure is particularly useful for representing complex systems, like the processes within an organization or the components of an ecosystem. Let's break down the core components of a concept map. At its simplest, it's composed of two main elements: concepts and linking words. Concepts, also known as nodes, are usually enclosed in shapes like circles or rectangles. They represent a specific idea or term. Linking words or phrases are the labels on the lines connecting the concepts, explaining the nature of the relationship. For example, a map about climate change might have the concepts fossil fuels and carbon emissions. The linking phrase could be burning releases. The full statement would read, burning fossil fuels releases carbon emissions. The power of this method lies in its ability to reveal the hierarchical and cross-linking relationships between different ideas. By arranging concepts from the most general to the most specific, you can build a clear structure that shows how different parts of a system relate. Cross-links or connections between different branches of the map are particularly valuable as they often reveal new insights and create more integrated understanding. These cross-links are where the magic happens, as they challenge our initial linear assumptions and force us to see the bigger picture. Creating a concept map is an iterative process. You don't need to get it perfect on the first try. Start by identifying your key concepts. Write them down on sticky notes or small cards. This allows for easy rearranging. Then begin connecting them with lines and linking words. As you work, you'll discover new relationships and may even realize you've missed key concepts. It's a journey of discovery. The final product is not just a pretty picture, it's a dynamic representation of your understanding that can be continually refined and expanded upon. Visualizing complex relationships also extends to other forms. System diagrams and flowcharts are excellent for showing processes and cause and effect relationships. A flowchart, for instance, uses standard symbols to represent a sequence of actions or decisions. This is invaluable for documenting a business process, planning a software algorithm, or even outlining the steps to assemble a piece of furniture. While simpler than a full-blown concept map, Flowcharts provide a rigid, logical structure that is easy to follow and debug. The visual flow makes it simple to spot bottlenecks, redundant steps, or logical flaws. Another method is mind mapping. While it is a type of concept map, it's worth discussing on its own due to its popularity and specific structure. Unlike the network-like structure of a concept map, a mind map is hierarchical. It starts with a central idea in the middle of the page, from which all other ideas branch out like tree limbs. This method is particularly effective for note-taking, brainstorming, and organizing thoughts around a single topic. The use of colors, images, and different line thicknesses can add layers of meaning and make the map more memorable. By associating ideas with colors and shapes, you're tapping into the brain's associative memory, making the information stickier. This is why mind maps are so popular for studying and test preparation. The key takeaway is that these visual methods are not about making art. They're about creating a functional representation of thought. They give us a common language to discuss complex issues, making them invaluable in team settings. When you present a concept map of a project, everyone can see the same relationships and dependencies, leading to more productive conversations and a shared understanding. This collective visualization helps to eliminate miscommunications and ensures that all team members are on the same page, literally and figuratively. Brainstorming at its core is a process of generating a large number of ideas in a short period. Traditional brainstorming often relies on verbal communication, but integrating visual elements can dramatically increase both the quantity and quality of ideas. When we're not limited to words, our brains can make more intuitive and non-linear connections. This is where the power of visual ideation comes in. It's about letting go of the need for perfect grammar or logical sequence and instead embracing the spontaneous, often messy nature of visual thought. One of the most common visual brainstorming techniques is mind mapping, which we touched on earlier. While it's great for organizing existing knowledge, it's also a powerful tool for generating new ideas. To use it for brainstorming, you start with your main topic in the center. Then, without judgment, you jot down every idea that comes to mind as a new branch. Don't worry about logic or hierarchy at this stage. Just get the ideas down. After you've exhausted your initial thoughts, you can start to draw sub-branches from your main ideas, adding more detail and connections. The non-linear nature of the map allows you to jump between different ideas freely, which can spark unexpected connections. The visual layout also makes it easy to see which areas have been explored thoroughly and which have not, helping you identify new avenues for exploration. Another effective technique is sketching. You don't need to be an artist to do this. Simple sketches, doodles, or even scribbles can be incredibly effective for exploring ideas. When you're trying to solve a problem, instead of just talking about it, try to draw it. What does the problem look like? What do the potential solutions look like? This is particularly useful for product design, user experience, and architecture. By sketching out different possibilities, you can quickly evaluate them without the time investment of building a prototype. The physical act of drawing engages a different part of the brain than writing or talking, often leading to more creative and innovative solutions. Think of it as a form of rapid prototyping with a pen and paper. Storyboarding is another powerful visual brainstorming tool, particularly for narrative-driven projects like films, presentations, or even marketing campaigns. A storyboard is a sequence of drawings or images that tells a story. By laying out the key moments of a narrative in a visual sequence, you can see how the story flows, identify gaps, and experiment with different sequences. This is not just for filmmakers. It can be used to plan a user's journey on a website, map out a customer's experience with a product, or even outline a lecture. The visual flow helps to ensure a cohesive and compelling narrative. A more advanced technique is visual metaphors. This involves representing an abstract idea with a concrete image. For example, If you're brainstorming about a new business strategy, you might represent the company as a ship navigating a stormy sea. The different ideas you generate could be represented as different sails, rudders, or even anchors. This method forces you to think about the problem in a new way, often leading to novel insights. By using a metaphor, you create a rich visual context that can be explored in detail. It's like creating a mental playground where ideas can interact in unexpected ways. When you combine these techniques in a group setting, the results can be explosive. Start with a verbal brainstorming session, but instead of just writing words on a whiteboard, encourage participants to draw or sketch their ideas. Then use an idea wall where all the visual ideas, sticky notes with drawings, sketches, mind maps are posted. This creates a shared visual space where everyone can see what others are thinking. It also helps to prevent dominant personalities from taking over the conversation, as a good idea on a sticky note has as much visibility as a verbally presented one. This visual repository serves as a collective memory for the team, allowing them to build on each other's ideas in a way that's often difficult in a purely verbal context. The most important rule for visual brainstorming is to suspend judgment. The goal is quantity over quality in the initial stages. No idea is too silly or too simple. By externalizing your thoughts visually, you create an artifact that can be discussed, refined, and built upon. This is a crucial step in moving from raw ideas to actionable plans. Once you have a large number of ideas, whether from a visual brainstorming session or a concept mapping exercise, the next challenge is to make sense of them. This is where affinity diagramming comes in. It's a powerful tool for organizing a large set of ideas, data, or observations into natural categories or themes. The process is particularly useful when you're faced with a seemingly chaotic collection of information, such as feedback from a user research study, a list of customer pain points, or a pile of ideas from a team brainstorming session. It helps to move from a state of chaos to a state of clarity. The process is deceptively simple but incredibly effective. It's a hands-on, collaborative method that harnesses the power of visual organization. Here's how it works. First, you need a collection of ideas. This could be from a brainstorming session, a survey, or interviews. The key is that each idea should be written on a separate sticky note or index card. Use a clear, concise phrase or sentence for each idea. For example, if you're trying to improve a website, one note might say, "The checkout process is confusing," while another MIG-HT say, "I can't find the contact us page." This separation is critical as it allows for flexibility in the next steps. This is the most crucial part of the process. Place all the sticky notes randomly on a large wall or table. Then, without talking, everyone in the group starts to move the notes around, grouping similar ideas together. The rule of no talking is essential because it forces participants to focus on the content of the ideas and to use their visual and intuitive sense to find connections. This prevents dominant individuals from influencing the groupings and allows for a more organic, unbiased sorting process. As a group, you'll naturally start to see patterns emerging. Ideas about website navigation will start to cluster together, as will ideas about customer support or product features. After the silent sort, you'll have clusters of related sticky notes. Now, as a group, discuss each cluster and come up with a concise header or title that summarizes the theme of that group. For example, the cluster of notes about the confusing checkout process, slow loading times, and difficulty finding products might be titled User Experience Issues. These headers represent the core themes that emerged from the raw data. They are the high-level insights that you've discovered through the sorting process. For large or complex datasets, you can take this a step further by creating subclusters within your main groups. For example, under User Experience Issues, you might have a subcluster for navigation problems and another for performance issues. You can also start to draw lines or arrows to show relationships between the different affinity groups. This can reveal unexpected dependencies or causal links. For instance, You might see a connection between the poor customer support group and the user experience issues group, suggesting that users with navigation problems are calling customer support more often. Why is this so effective? First, it democratizes the data. By putting all the ideas on an equal footing, each on a sticky note, it ensures that every voice is heard and every idea is considered. Second, it uncovers hidden patterns. The act of physically moving and grouping ideas often reveals connections that would have been missed in a verbal discussion or a spreadsheet. The brain is an incredible pattern recognition machine, and by externalizing the ideas, you allow this natural process to occur visually. Third, it builds consensus and shared understanding. When a team collectively creates an affinity diagram, they develop a shared mental model of the problem space. The final diagram is not just a document, it's a visual record of their collective discovery and agreement. Affinity diagramming is not just for brainstorming, it's a powerful tool for analyzing qualitative data in a wide range of fields. From user research and strategic planning to project management and scientific analysis, it provides a structured and visual way to make sense of complexity. It transforms a jumble of individual thoughts into a clear, actionable framework, making it an essential tool in any visual thinker's toolkit. It's the perfect bridge between the messy, free-flowing world of ideation and the structured, analytical world of decision-making. Welcome back. Today, we're shifting our focus from personal visual thinking to a more collaborative setting. We're going to explore visual facilitation in group settings. This is about more than just drawing pretty pictures. It's about using visuals as a dynamic tool to guide conversations, spark ideas, and build a shared understanding. We'll cover using visuals to lead discussions and workshops, creating that crucial shared understanding, and a look at the basic principles of graphic recording. When you walk into a meeting room, what do you usually see? A whiteboard, maybe some flip charts, perhaps a projector, but how often are these tools used to their full potential? Too often, they're simply static backdrops for a slide deck or a list of bullet points. Visual facilitation, however, treats these surfaces as active participants in the conversation. It's the practice of a facilitator actively drawing, writing, and organizing information in real time as a group talks. This may sound like a complex specialized skill, but it's more about being present and responsive than it is about being a professional artist. Let's consider a typical workshop. A facilitator poses a question and people start talking. In a purely verbal setting, ideas can get lost, people might talk over each other, and it's difficult to remember everything that was said. The conversation can meander, and at the end, it's often unclear what was decided or what the key takeaways are. Visual facilitation changes this dynamic entirely. As people speak, the facilitator captures their key ideas on a large surface. They might draw a simple icon next to a point, or connect two ideas with an arrow. This is not about transcribing every word. It's about listening for the core concepts and representing them visually. The result is that the conversation becomes visible. The group can see their collective thoughts taking shape. It's a powerful experience. One of the simplest yet most powerful tools is the humble template. Before a workshop even begins, a facilitator can draw a large pre-designed template on a whiteboard or a large sheet of paper. This template might have a series of boxes for problems, solutions, and action items, or perhaps a timeline with key milestones. This simple act provides a clear structure for the discussion. It gently guides the group's thinking without being overly prescriptive. It's a bit like giving a group of people an empty map. It helps them stay oriented and know where they're going. It's far less intimidating than a blank slate, and it appears to reduce the cognitive load, allowing participants to focus on the content of their ideas rather than the process. Think about a classic brainstorming session. Instead of just listing ideas, a visual facilitator might draw a large central circle for the main topic and then have participants write their ideas on sticky notes and stick them around the circle. They can then draw lines to show relationships, group similar ideas together, and use different colors to denote different categories. The physicality of the sticky notes and the visual representation on the board create a shared artifact that the group can literally manipulate. This is a crucial element. The group can move things around, debate where an idea fits, and collaboratively build a consensus. The conversation shifts from a linear exchange of words to a spatial negotiation of ideas. This approach, for instance, seems to be particularly effective when dealing with diverse teams or groups where some individuals may be more comfortable contributing non-verbally. Furthermore, visual facilitation can be used to manage the flow of a conversation. If a group gets stuck on a minor detail, the facilitator can circle the topic and write parking lot next to it, visually setting it aside for later discussion. This simple gesture acknowledges the importance of the idea without letting it derail the current conversation. It's a way of saying, we hear you and we won't forget this, but let's stay focused for now. This technique is far more effective than a verbal interruption, as it provides a visual cue that is less confrontational and more respectful of the contributor's idea. Another, perhaps more nuanced aspect is using visuals to manage group energy. Let's say a team has been discussing a difficult problem for an hour and the energy is flagging. A facilitator might quickly draw a simple visual metaphor for the problem, a tangled knot, for example, and then ask the group to suggest ways to untangle it. This reframing from a verbal problem to a visual one can break a creative block and re-energize the participants. It's a way of shifting from an analytical mode to a more creative, spatial one, which can be exactly what the group needs to see a problem from a new perspective. The facilitator is no longer just a meeting leader. They become a visual storyteller, helping the group narrate its own journey. One of the biggest challenges in any group setting is ensuring that everyone is on the same page. We often assume that because we're using the same words, we're talking about the same thing, but a word like strategy can mean 10 different things to 10 different people. This is where visual facilitation and the creation of shared artifacts becomes invaluable. A visual representation serves as a single source of truth, a common language that transcends individual interpretations. Imagine a team working on a new project. Each person has a slightly different mental model of what the project will look like. The marketing person is thinking about the campaign, the engineer is focused on the technical architecture, and the product manager is thinking about the user features. In a traditional meeting, they might have a long, frustrating conversation where they talk past each other. A visual facilitator, however, would begin to draw a diagram of the project, including its different components and how they connect. They might draw a box for marketing, one for engineering, and one for product, and then fill them with the ideas being discussed. As the drawing evolves, everyone can literally see how their piece of the puzzle fits into the whole. This process is not just about drawing, it's about dialogue through drawing. The facilitator might ask, "Is this what you mean by launch plan?" while pointing to a box they've just drawn. This simple act of verification forces clarity and ensures that the visual representation accurately reflects the group's collective understanding. If there's a disagreement, it becomes immediately visible on the drawing, allowing the group to address it directly. This appears to be a much more efficient way of resolving misunderstandings than a protracted verbal argument. Visualizing a process, for instance, can be incredibly powerful. A simple flowchart can reveal a bottleneck that was previously invisible. Let's say a team is mapping out their customer service process. As they draw the steps, they might realize that every customer inquiry has to go through 3 different departments before a solution is found. This visual representation makes the inefficiency glaringly obvious. It's much harder to ignore a slow, circuitous line on a diagram than it is to just hear someone complain about the process. The visual provides evidence, a concrete problem that everyone can see and agree on. Another key aspect of creating shared understanding is visualizing assumptions. Often, a project can go off the rails because of an unstated assumption that one person was operating under. A visual facilitator can create a space on the wall titled Assumptions and encourage the group to write them down. They can then draw a picture of what happens if that assumption proves to be false. This exercise of externalizing and visualizing assumptions may seem trivial, but it can be a profound exercise in risk mitigation. It forces the team to confront their blind spots and build a more robust plan. For example, if the assumption is, our competitor won't launch a similar product for 6 months, the group can draw what a fast-tracked launch plan would look like if that assumption is wrong. It changes the dynamic from a theoretical discussion to a practical problem-solving exercise. Ultimately, the goal is to create a visual memory for the group. At the end of a session, you have a large physical document, the graphic recording, that represents the entire conversation. This is not just a bunch of notes, it's a co-created artifact of the group's work. Participants can refer back to it, use it to onboard new team members, or simply feel a sense of accomplishment by seeing what they achieved together. It's a powerful tool for maintaining momentum and ensuring that the work done in the meeting doesn't disappear the moment everyone walks out the door. The physical presence of the visual artifact, which is often a large colorful piece of paper, reinforces the importance and permanence of the group's collective work. So, what exactly is graphic recording and how does one do it? At its core, graphic recording is the art of listening and drawing simultaneously. It's the process of capturing a live conversation, presentation, or meeting in a visual format, often on large sheets of paper or a whiteboard. While it may look impressive, the principles are quite simple and accessible to anyone willing to practice. It's less about artistic skill and more about a strategic approach to communication. The first principle is to listen deeply. Before you can draw something, you have to understand it. Graphic recorders aren't just hearing words. They're listening for themes, connections, emotions, and key takeaways. They're trying to identify the big ideas that the group is talking about. This requires a different kind of focus than just passive listening. It's an active process of synthesis and interpretation. Sometimes it's a matter of listening for repeated words, while other times it's about paying attention to the non-verbal cues and shifts in group energy. Next comes synthesis and simplification. You can't draw every single word. The graphic recorder's job is to distill a complex conversation into its most essential parts. This might mean representing a long explanation with a single icon, or summarizing a series of points with a short, powerful phrase. The goal is to capture the essence, not the detail. This requires a certain level of intellectual bravery. To make a call on what's important in real time, knowing that you can't get it all. This selective process is what makes the final record so valuable. It's a curated and condensed version of the conversation. Layout and structure are also fundamental. A blank page can be daunting. A graphic recorder typically uses a clear structure to organize the information. This could be a timeline, a mind map, a series of connected boxes, or a visual narrative that flows from one part of the page to the next. The structure itself tells a story. For example, a flow from left to right may suggest a process or a chronological progression, while a circle might represent a self-contained system. The visual structure helps the viewer understand the relationships between ideas, even before they've read a single word. it provides a visual scaffold for the information. The visual vocabulary is also crucial. While you don't need to be an artist, having a basic set of simple icons and symbols can be incredibly helpful. A light bulb for an idea, a key for a solution, a person for a stakeholder. These simple images act as visual shorthand, allowing you to capture complex concepts quickly. Building your own visual vocabulary takes a little practice. You can start with simple shapes, a square, a circle, a triangle, and see how many different things you can represent just by adding a few lines or details. The point is not to create a masterpiece, but to be able to draw an icon that is quickly and easily recognizable by the group. The simpler the icon, the faster you can draw it, and the less chance there is for misinterpretation. Finally, there's the use of color and typography. Color can be used to categorize ideas, highlight important points, or create a sense of visual hierarchy. A bold, thick marker can be used for main headings, while a thinner one can be used for details. These simple choices can make the final graphic recording much easier to read and understand. It's a bit like a conductor using different sections of the orchestra to create a more dynamic and engaging piece of music. The use of color is also a powerful way to add emotional tone to a visual representation. A bright color might be used for a positive idea, while a darker one might be used for a challenge or problem. These subtle cues add a layer of meaning that text alone can't convey. Graphic recording is, in many ways, an extension of the human brain's natural ability to think visually. It's a physical act that mirrors the internal process of making sense of information. By externalizing this process on a large scale, we not only help ourselves understand, but we also create a public record for an entire group. It's a form of visual democracy, giving a voice to every idea and ensuring that nothing is lost in the noise of a verbal discussion.